able to win game number 2. He forces the 3rd map, and we have him to the top right in the red. It is once again the player for LGIM. We have
LGIM MVP.
Okay, so now he's got all 4 there. You can see him. They zoomed out. Okay, so it was always like that. I was just confused.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure.
I didn't see him earlier.
I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. His opponent, over here at the top left, he won the first game, lost the second. His ID is...
Liquid TaeJa.
We talked a little bit about how this match is going to set the pace for those 2 players. If you win now, you're in a pretty comfortable position. You have to play the winner's match, and if you lose, you still have another chance of winning. So right now, if MVP is able to pull this off, he will advance. TaeJa, on the other hand, he showed in the first game that he is definitely sneaky enough to force out a victory here, to make sure that he is the one player who's going to succeed in the end, but we'll find out soon enough. Whirlwind is a choice that I would not have. I would have suggested Whirlwind to him. I wouldn't have called it. So
yeah, it's
maybe he has a specific strategy on this map.
It's very likely. Right now he's sending out his scouting SCV at a very normal timing. On a map this size, if you want to scout what your opponent's doing, you have to do this. They're both going to go command center first, but MVP is going to have an advantage in that he did not scout. Now, oftentimes, you know, that sounds a little bit strange to say, but when you have command center first against command center first, the player who doesn't scout actually gets an advantage because there's nothing to be afraid of.
There's actually nothing to really be scouted, exactly. It's not like you have to prepare for some kind of attack, and you will have a few more minerals. It's not a lot, but it's just a few minerals that you have because you are not mining.
Well, the win rate, if you see down there at the bottom, if he has to pick the map, he only has a 33.3% chance of winning, so I guess if he's
How is that even possible?
I don't know, but I'm actually not sure about that one, but I'm actually really not sure, but...
Okay, so basically what would be the better option for him is as soon as he wins the game, he turns around and tells a buddy, hey, listen up, can you pick the map for me? I don't really care, but just make sure you pick any map.
I think what the stat is basically saying is like going into what I said earlier, where it's like if he wins the first map, he wins every other. He's only lost twice, the best of 3, and that's probably like a stat that draws from that a little bit. Now, one thing that MVP, he is going to have to scout eventually because the next step for him is when do I take my gases and how greedy can I be with that? What if he's going to be aggressive? So now he kind of needs to know what his opponent is doing, or else he's going to play too safely. And so he is sending that SCV out right now. And he's going to be able to see his opponent's timing of his command center. In fact, this SCV, will it get by? Yep, it's going to get by. It's going to see. Oh, wow, he's going to even get into the main base. He's going to see everything. This is exactly what he needed to see.
Nah, not quite. But he saw a lot, but he did not see everything.
Not as much as TaeJa's seeing right now. TaeJa's literally seeing everything, man.
Yeah, TaeJa has been in there for quite a while, but MVP, on the other hand, he was unlucky a little bit with the scouting because as soon as he moved up the ramp, the second Marine for TaeJa popped out. So he did not know everything that was going on in the main base of his opponent. The SCV was killed before that. He has a fair read on what TaeJa is doing, but TaeJa, his scout was definitely a bit better.
Well, at this point, they're both pretty aware of what's going on. I mean, even though he didn't see everything like TaeJa did, MVP knows, okay, command center first. The logical next step here is going to be either to tech up the factor or add a third base. And in this case, it's going to be, or excuse me, a third barracks. And in this case, he's added a third barracks. MVP himself has actually just now added his third barracks. Neither player going for a factory yet. And this kind of lends itself to what I discussed earlier, is that bio play is more popular on this map. You don't need mech. The thing is, their medevacs are both going to be late.
And right now, one of the things that is just going to work very well for MVP is that he already has the +1 attack upgrade being queued up. So we don't even have the engineering bay for TaeJa. He just started to build it. He will be very far behind with his upgrades. And if MVP is kind of trying to exploit this, maybe even get the second engineering bay and play a style where he's not taking that much to siege tanks or that fast, but just focusing on really strongly upgraded Marines, he might get an advantage here. We've seen in a lot of games already that he is really awesome with this drop style, and this time he decided not to go for the mech play. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this change in strategy will in the end work for MVP.
Yeah, we have a variation too, you can see on the production tab, where it's combat shields versus stim. MVP going for combat shields first, TaeJa going for stim first. Now on a map like this, if you get stim first, you can't necessarily use it to attack your opponent. So I kind of like the choice of combat shields first for MVP. It's a better defensive upgrade to have, I guess. And like you mentioned, I mean, his upgrade is way ahead for +1. It's finishing now as TaeJa is starting. He's going to be able to start +1 armor immediately, and we'll make an armory and a second eBay very, very soon here. The timing of the starport is very similar for these two players. MVP going to be a little bit behind here. He didn't even get to use that +1. He almost did, but not quite.
It's the Chuck Norris Marine.
Yeah.
No, actually it's not. He got injured.
Oh,
he got injured, so
then he just walked back into the middle where the watchtower was and was killed. So sad.
Yeah, you see, we already knew that it wasn't Chuck Norris when he got injured, but when he walked into the other Marine and died, no. Chuck Norris would just have a roundhouse kick.
He's like, you have a gun, and I have a gun, but I'm going to put this gun down and roundhouse kick you.
Of course.
He's a guy, you may have +1, but I have +9 on my foot. It's like not even +9, it's +N for Norris. At this point, and you know, if actually, like, I could have taken that joke even further, because N, you know, can mean like the infinity one. It's like the nth such and such. Oh man, that's gonna be something I use later once everybody forgets about it. Third command center on the way for TaeJa. MVP in a very defensive position right now. He's powering up a lot, but he has not started his eBay, second eBay, or his armory just yet to get his 2-2. And that's something that TaeJa has already got. He's got 2 eBays going now, and his armory's on the way. There's the armory for MVP.
Yeah, with Armory, he will be able to start the +2 upgrades very, very soon. But right now, the timings are, well, with the +1 attack upgrade are a little bit off right here for TaeJa, that is. And
MVP is going to move out.
Yeah, exactly. He's moving out right now, trying to apply some damage here. His Marine count is currently up to 37 against 32. The Medivacs, the first 2 Medivacs are basically what he's going to use here. But he might get lucky with a job, but walking up the ramp, this is not really going to work.
It's not. I mean, the Marine count right now is too similar. He's only up about 8 Marines, and that's not going to be enough to change the tide of this battle, especially with the bunker in play defensively. Oh, but TaeJa is going to potentially get some SCVs here. He definitely will.
Yes, and he moves into a corner. There are a couple of Marines for MVP, so he will take this down.
And he's targeting SCVs. Oh, that was so smart.
11 SCVs killed. Really, really well done. If you auto-attack here, your Marines will attack the Marines of your opponent. You will lose every single one of them, but TaeJa targeting down his opponent's SCVs manually did a lot of damage here. And MVP, he's not too happy about this. Trying to move up the ramp now.
And run up here. I really think that was a terrible idea. He ran up into a concave. He lost a medevac. He stimmed all of his Marines. His opponent did the same, but there was tanks in a concave, and he scanned, and he saw the tank, the bunker, and the concave. It looks like he's feeling a little bit desperate right now. I'm not 100% sure why he's trying to do this, but he does not have a third command center, whereas his opponent does. I mean, right now, MVP is behind in every way, except that he started his +2 armor a little bit faster. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of right now, looking at his composition. He's got no tanks, no third base. He attacked lost units. He's down in supply, and he is looking rough right now in this first best-of-3.
We just saw the factory again for MVP. He did not really build his add-on right away. Now he added the tech lab so that he can start with the siege tanks, but at the same time, TaeJa already has the first 3 tanks. MVP doesn't have a single one. And this is like really, really bad news. So TaeJa not only ahead in supply, as Wolf just mentioned, he has the high SCV count, he is farther ahead in tech, and MVP is only relying on Marines at this point in time. He's not even getting any tanks.
Yeah, he's going to have to get lucky. He's going to have to pull off a killer drop. He's got his third base going up now at the bottom right.
There was actually a Marine and took down the SCV, so the base has not been built. We haven't seen this on screen, so it's further delayed. Another Marine took down TaeJa's 1 unit that was able to delay everything, but right now MVP has to send another SCV over. More time lost.
This drop is what he needs right now. A triple Marine drop, and he's also going to get a free medevac. No!
Wow.
Nice reaction by TaeJa. Oh, the sensor tower, though, finishes just in time to spot this triple drop. And TaeJa moves units into position to defend. Sims his Marines up and will actually defend this. Siege tank sieging up as well. And wow, TaeJa playing so well against MVP here, but there may be too many Marines in this drop.
Yes, indeed, the one tank is already dead, and here comes TaeJa trying to solve this problem, but it's not going to be easy, and he sends more and more single-front Marines in there. And what is he going to do right now? There's a second force for MVP posturing at his third, and TaeJa's in trouble.
TaeJa's in trouble, but I really admire his patience here. He knew that MVP would attack him at the third base at the same time, and he will actually defend here. MVP actually attacking regardless. He's going to lose a lot more, and the drop in the main will be chased out. A brilliant plan by MVP, but TaeJa, man, his defense was solid.
TaeJa, for a moment, he was tempted to actually move in with additional Marines. Then he realized that MVP was about to move up at the third base and use the tanks to slowly siege forward in his main base so that he could set up a defense. Moves in and clears MVP's drop, and now he drops on his own, once again focusing down SCVs. TaeJa with so much pressure. MVP is certainly in trouble now.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, he is falling apart slowly here. He's got his smaller army about to potentially be flanked, and this Marine is going to see it. The Marine at the top sees this army. He can set up a perfect flank, surround and trap MVP's army, kill it, and then go and take the game, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's seen it now. He's setting up the flank. He's moving his army. He's splitting it. No, actually decides to keep it together. Rather than trying to surround and trap MVP's army, he's just going to go for a counterattack while MVP is AFK. I mean, AFK. AFB, man, away from the base.
There comes another drop by MVP. Exactly the one that you mentioned. 50 supply ahead, though, for TaeJa. TaeJa trying to move in. He has a few units that try to shut down the drop play of MVP, but the rest of the army is moving into MVP's third, taking it apart. There's nothing that the turn player from GIM can do.
Yeah.
And also here,
he's just so set up, man. GG. I think TaeJa played as close to perfect as it gets in that game, man. I was so impressed. His map awareness, his smile, man. He deserves to smile right now because he basically played the perfect game in every way.
Every time he moved out, he made sure that there were enough units just queued up in the buildings or at the positions that he could defend against everything that MVP had in mind. The drops did not work. Even those small run-by attempts to the third base did not really work out all that well. And now we suddenly have MVP losing the first best of 3. He will have to face the next player in the losers match.
Yep. And whoever loses against Seed and Violet will, of course, be in that losers match against him. And, you know, the play we saw from MVP was pretty solid. But TaeJa was just one step ahead, especially in Game 3. I was so impressed with how many Marines he had on the map to spot, and he always had the tower. He always controlled that. So he always was able to know exactly where MVP's army was moving. You saw the sensor tower finished. As soon as he realized, TaeJa realized, what's the one way MVP could catch up? What if he drops a ton of units in my main? Then he makes a sensor tower and spots and positions a siege tank. It was perfect. I mean, everything was just perfect.
The timing was so awesome. The sensor tower goes up and then he sees those 3 dots like blinking like crazy. And he's like, whoa, wait a second. So he could actually defend against this. He was troubled a little bit, but you already said that he stayed so calm, even though there was a huge threat in his main base. He was like, okay, well, wait a second. They still have tanks producing.
Yeah.
One tank will be there really soon. So I just have to stall him a little bit. I can siege up. He won't be able to move in, and was able to defend not only the third but also his main base. Forced everything back of MVP. It was well done.
He didn't see the army of MVP this third, and there was a split second where he moved his army at the third, then he was like, wait a minute, this is too obvious. And he kept his army there. Then MVP just attacked into it, assuming that he'd be sending it to his main, but he didn't, man, and he defended beautifully. He just looked so good. His decision-making when he didn't know what was going on was great, but most of the time, man, he knew what was going on.
Well, right now we have the second match coming up very, very soon. We will have Zerg versus Protoss. We have Seed against Violet, which is also going to be a really, really interesting match. And of course, the winner is going to face TaeJa later on in the winner's match, whereas the loser has to face MVP.
Yeah, and we're going to take a 5-minute break before that, so maybe tell your friends to come watch, go get some popcorn or something, go get a soda, a hot 6 maybe, and relax.
Yeah, it's not the group of death today, that's going to happen tomorrow, but today's group is also pretty intense, so we'll be back after 5 with the next match with Seed against Violet.